Good afternoon, Eastern Time. I'm Irene Parker with Timeshare Solution or Surrender. This is episode 85 and October 13th, 2025. So last week we had a problem at minute 37 on episode 84, and from minute 37 on, it was not audible. So I've asked the guests from last week, beginning with Sheila, and hoping our technology holds up today. And we have Sheila is our board president. Jake is also on our board. He's our HOA expert today, which we're going to be spending time talking about. And then we have Teresa, who has, and last but not least, we have Jimmy. We have one more guest that was supposed to join us, but we weren't able to get her mic and camera to work, but she's a very important guest. So in about 5 minutes, I'm going to give her a call. So Jimmy is here. He's going to be talking about Sapphire Resorts. And we have Sheila and Teresa and Joan by phone talked to do last week. So there is some similarity between the marketing, deceptive marketing that occurred with Club Exploria, that is some other type of dubious marketing through 7 points, kind of a flow chart of some very unusual developments with Club Exploria. And because it's hard to listen to it and follow it unless you're taking notes like you're in a classroom, we're going to make this also the subject of Charta's October newsletter. And if you don't receive it, you can go to our homepage, Timeshare and Resort Developer Accountability, and fill out our contact us, and you will receive that newsletter. So number one, I'll go sued Club Exploria for making illegal robocalls, accusing them of making illegal robocalls. I read the script. Hi, I'm TripAdvisor. I'm calling from Helping Hands Association. If you look them up, they say they're an organization that helps orphans. All you have to do is stay a few nights while you like it. So that's number one. Number two, and let me call Joan because I don't want to discuss this without her being here, because it would normally be confidential. Hi, Joan. Joan?
Yes.
Okay, I've got you on with I'm sorry you can't join us today, but I wanted you to be here for point number 2 of 7, and I want to thank you and your husband for sharing your situation with health. And so I already talked about the North Carolina Attorney General suing about robocalls. And when I told you that, and I said, it's about an organization that helps orphans, you mentioned that you received correspondence they partner with Shriners Hospital, basically saying, well, we know you guys do a lot of important work and you do a good job and play an important role. Knowing that Club Exploria is basically committing financial elder abuse, and they said in the report, you told me, we want to make each of our Club Exploria owners feel special.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, your husband where they had to remove part of his skull due to a brain bleed, that there was so much blood his brain moved 3 inches. He ended up with blood clots that filled one lung and half of the other. He needed a greenfield filter to prevent any more blood clots. He had an injury that needed to get a machine to grow back his bone. He then had to have a heart ablation due to continuous AFib, and now he's recovering from 3 hernia surgeries.
Right.
And you were denied a hardship release.
Right.
Yeah, interference with the phone, so I'm gonna hang up the phone once you're done. And in addition, oh, we forgot to mention your letter to the Pope.
Yeah. That's important. I read that last night.
You showed me the YouTube, and I said you might be able to reach him, but he's deceased. It was Pope Francis, but this YouTube was from June, and it said 6 months ago, before he died. He was launching the Jubilee Israelite communities, that in the Bible it states that debt should be forgiven at the end of 7 years.
Right.
Okay, and yet you were told that you have to pay maintenance fees for the rest of your life. So to think that Club Exploria is thinking they're over the Bible is worse than being above the law, in my opinion. Okay, you have anything else to add before I say bye?
And keep up the faith.
Yeah, thank you. All right, bye-bye. Okay, good. Now we can move on to 3, which is Teresa. Teresa received a $7,750 special assessment. She has 2 weeks. I didn't realize that you could timeshare a house. I mean, no reason you can. It's usually just condo weeks. And she has 2, so that's 15,000. And if we do the math on that, and Jake's, you jump in if I'm saying something wrong, 1,144 owners times 7,750 is $8,860,000 plus. That's just for the 22 Summer Bay zone. It has received a special assessment for $1.35 per expo points. Now, Teresa just told me today that Exploria owns 50% of the units. Now, let me just highlight these, and then I'll come back, and Jake will get your opinion on this. And number 4, I did not know this last Monday, so it's kind of a blessing in disguise to have to do the show again. In 2019, George Moore sued Club Exploria. He's on the federal do not call list for illegal robocalls in Illinois. And it was the same Helping Hands Association and the same stay at Sunred. You're supposed to identify yourself, to say, hi, I'm TripAdvisor calling from Helping Hands Association is apparently illegal. Club Explorer responded with a press release that they offer the height of integrity. Number 5. Okay, so I words. He said it's a scam. Okay, so then I reached out. We need a lawyer. Okay, so I reached out to attorney Mike Finn, who I'm hoping can be on the show October 27. He's been on the show a couple of times, and I sent him Teresa's special assessment letter that really wasn't, it didn't tell you anything, not many numbers on it. In other words, no budget. And I also sent it to Ed Lake, who's an attorney that has a law firm in Long Island that happens to live 15 minutes from me in South Florida. And Mike's response when I said this seems fishy was like an uncooked fish that's been sitting out between Equifax and Exploria in 2015 for charging closing costs for a product that's not real estate, and they closure from 11,000 accounts and weren't supposed to call it foreclosure going forward, but they are according to what people are reporting. And so what, I'm just worried that are they just coming up? Okay, now number 6 is an odd coincidence, and I'm going to go over this. I don't want to shortchange anybody on the show today, but I call Silverleaf Resort gone awry. And those owners are on the opposite side. Sheila and everybody, they want to exit. There's 6 Silverleaf resorts and 15. And they were then now they want to sell or transfer those 6 weeks. And we have here
six ownerships.
6. Yeah, what we have is we have Thomas Morris is the CEO and president of Club Exploria, and he was with Silverleaf until 2015. So I think at least now we have the answer to why Club Exploria and Holiday Inn refer to timeshares only that have been, if episode 5 with Brian Rogers of Tug have any special way to sell these resale weeks, but as they did with Sheila, inflate the listing price to justify their upfront fee. Okay. And Jake, from the comments I had, and also last week we had the questions that Teresa from Club Exploria to have answered. So go ahead and tell your fishy story.
Yeah, or the fishy way I look at what's happening.
Yes.
So there's a difference between an emergency special assessment at the homes at Bay. And there's a difference between a special assessment that is an emerging infrastructure, and that happens, and then a complete renovation of the units after whatever it is, 20 years, 30 years, that they've been there, and they have to be completely renovated, and roof replacement, and siding, and landscape, whatever is included. When you do a special assessment for renovations that are posted on the internet that say this is what this is what the roof is going to look like, and this is what the units are going to look like. There is a budget, and that budget for our calculation is around $8 million now, disclosed to the owners of the units, so they have to understand where the money is going. And adding to it, the special assessment, not increase in special assessment for last year was to raise money to renovate the units or to improve the units. it seems like there is somebody that doesn't have an exit strategy, that knows that the owners would be stuck with a bill, that they would have a very hard time raising the money within 3 months. That is a special assessment that is more than double the annual dues, and doing it in October, where within 2 months, why would they put a special assessment without a good amount of knowledge to the owners? And the only explanation for that is that they want to get them off the property. They would want to do that. If the value of these homes is in excess of a certain amount, then they would just want as many owners off of it, and then they can of that asset without having owners wanting a piece of the disposition. The other reason could be because in their current condition, they may not be renting for the value that they could be renting. The owners that are deeded owners to pay for the renovations, or at least for their share of the renovations, knowing, and these people have been in the timeshare business for a while, as you said, with Silverleaf in the third year resort there. So they know that they're going to get a large amount of delinquency out of passing this type of special assessment that has not been planned, that the owners have to foreclose, and it's an easy way to get people off of their ownership. And then the ones that stay there are going to pay for the renovations, and that's less money for Club Exploria to pay for the renovations, and then they can rent them out for market price, which may be. So there are many reasons why developers would want to do that. But none of that has been explained to the owners. The urgency has not been explained to the owners. The length has been explained to the owners. Will homes be closed while they're being renovated? Will there be less ability for the owners to enjoy their units while they're under renovation? $8 million is not something you spend in 3 months without closing the units. The $8 million renovation on 24 homes or 22 homes is to complete. So no explanation of the phasing, no explanation of the project, just a bunch of pictures that show what the conceptual pictures of what they would look like after the renovations. See. And the only reason right now that you can expect for the urgency is because they want to change the ownership. And the ownership is around 50%, that Club Exploria owns around 50%. That is a majority ownership in these units.
Is that a high percentage for an HOA to own?
It's complete control. So
Is it inventory?
yes, for an existing resort that has been previously sold, is 1 week at a time. Once the developer reaches less than, if the developer has less than 25 to 30% of the units left over, then they no longer are the developer, meaning that they still have the developer take advantage of the fact that the developer can put 2 people on the board out of 5 without any vote. Or there's other concessions that are made to developments in the beginning, while the developer is decisions made to the developer so that he can have full control of the resort while it's being sold. But once you reach a certain level of sales, then you lose that control. So it's typically we have to look type of share so that owners have class B and developer has class A, and class A has the power to do most everything that needs to be done to the resort to make it sellable. But after the fact, starting to take back, probably in foreclosure, because they don't have an exit program. So we don't know how they got back to 50% ownership of these homes, and they were not the original developer, right? So they were,
Right.
so they came resort at 50. So typically in the timeshare industry, at 15%, you pretty much control the resort. At 25%, but the owners can revolt. At 25%, you pretty much have control of the resort and don't have to worry that much about owners being engaged.
Let me just interject that my Facebook banner photo is 1,000 people standing out of a building in Barrie, Ontario, when the Wyndham Carriage Hills Carriage Ridge, it was previously shelf vacation, that they would not allow anyone in court for past due maintenance fees if you were deceased, and they organized and forced the sale of both resorts, and all the owners got $3,000 or $4,000 depending on what they own. So call me suspicious, but is it Pop and Bridget that's also reached out in the same situation with $15,000 due in 45 days, right? It was only 45 days.
Right.
Are they trying to avoid having to buy Teresa out?
Absolutely, and they know the property is worth. It's a house on the open market. If it's worth $300,000, then they can gain control of this property for nothing. Just passing a special assessment, and people don't pay it, and they foreclose on it.
And you have a background in real estate investments. Okay, so your suspicious mind thinks they want to just tear these.
Oh, no. I don't feel that at all. It does seem that on this site, it's a large campus.
Yeah.
We have villas, the houses converging. I think there's like 7 pools on the property. And in addition to, it's on a lake, they're always building. My thing is that I do rehabilitate houses, and putting in plastic floors, the LVP is a plastic floor. It's not luxury. This is over a $400,000 house. That's just what the owners would be paying. Boom. And a lot of it is cosmetic. That's all they're showing us. They might be some plumbing and electrical, but that's not. I redo a plumbing.
I have a you own 2 of these houses. Now,
Yeah.
in one, let's say one house, okay? There's 52 weeks in a year,
Mhm.
just like any other part of the timeshares. If you owned a condo, you would only own 1 week, right?
I own
So
2
are there
though, but okay. I own 2 weeks.
I'm just saying
Yes, just 1
you
week.
own 2 houses.
Yes,
1 week in each house.
correct.
Okay, just say that. And so then there's 51 other people that can use that same house. So are they all being charged for one house, 7,000,
I think that the deeded owners
Okay.
are being charged, and they're being charged for expo in addition to the deeded
Okay.
week people.
Now,
And are
I
the
think
deeded
that-
week people that also do some of the deeded
I'm sorry,
people
what?
also have expo points?
You could, they could buy updates. They all want me
Yeah.
to release, my deed. They say they're no good and to
Right.
buy X.
but I think that's something we need,
Another $20,000.
I think that's something that we need to find out also. In these houses, how many people own a week, have a deed to a week and a house? Hell of a lot of money.
Really is.
You know?
That means for
Yeah.
2025, with both of them, I spent 19,000 something.
Yeah, you know what?
19,500.
And I asked you what you paid for those, and one was in 2001, 22,000, but one was on the resale market. Jake, if it was bought on the resale market, they worry about cloudy titles and things. At your resort, where you served as HOA for 30 years, president and treasurer, if we still support them if they needed to be released?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we went a long way with Diamond Resorts. That was trying to favorite scheme was to go to the for the delinquent owners to be delinquent for 5 years on their taxes. County taxes were charged separately by the county, and then the county would roll for the taxes that were due on these homes. And so they would run an auction, and then Diamond Resorts would go to the auction and buy all the inventory, basically clear off any of the debt. One of the problems with buying from another owner is if the other owner was delinquent and you buy that unit, you also buy the delinquents. Why developers don't generally like to buy from other owners is because the title could be cloudy, or they could have, let's say, taxes, federal taxes, that you wouldn't see as a lien on the property. You would not see the liens before you bought it. So the cleanest way for developers to buy or to acquire these properties is foreclosure or even direct foreclosure, because then you actually can clear all previous delinquencies on a property.
And another risk, Fantasy Flagship in New Jersey, the owners filed a class action because damages are not uniform. So this is a robocall class action. Class actions are very expensive, which is why, 1.6 million. Their attorneys were then awarded 700 million. Everybody was dancing in the streets, and Flagship filed for bankruptcy. So they're going to get imagine the legal fees if the New York Attorney General has sued them, and now a class action is allowed to proceed. And so, Teresa, in November, what's your maintenance fees?
It's 25.
So almost
Right.
another 5,000, 4,500 that you would have. I had a very lively. Sheila and Teresa and Sherida helped us, and Joan, a very lively Saturday, coming up with artwork for Facebook. And Teresa does herself a Facebook expert, and she was terrified.
Yeah.
And we were going back and forth with this art and that art. All of a sudden, I get an email. I launched it, and I'm like, what? And she found Facebook Art of the Year award. It is so
Yeah.
Florida. I can't believe it. And you launched it Saturday up to, I think, 24 members before the show. And so social media is really, back to some of these questions Jake had on here I want to ask, but getting to Sapphire Resorts and these deceptive robocalls, I was amazed when Jimmy sent me this Texas. I can't blow up I can. If I do this, I'm afraid I'm a novice at this stuff. I'm afraid I might not get back. But you can see this. It says a vacation. It's a vacation show. It's a vacation show, and the people in this that texted said leave their phone out, and they were not allowed to go to the bathroom. And the suspicion was that they would look up the reviews, so they would have access. They were released from their bondage, and they saw the bad reviews, and they canceled the next day. So
What Icon Park is.
I have no idea. Jimmy's from Ohio, but maybe he knows.
It's a big entertainment facility, which just happens to be owned with the timeshare industry. And immediately, I think Irene's got another one that was in the parking lot. You're approached by people giving you free tickets to Dolly Parton or
No.
and all you had to do is agree to sit through a presentation.
Yeah.
And the number one biggest complaint I hear, I'm on several sites, is people are convinced from the outset, this is not a timeshare. And then you get home and you download that contract, and the very first piece of paper you see is the state attorney general's thing that says, that a recession period for timeshare decisions. And you're like, wait, it is a timeshare. With us, we were on an extended vacation, and like a dummy, I felt I couldn't get bad reviews by just IT or looking up Sapphires. Matter of fact, I kept getting what they sponsored, which was It's All Nice and Good. And when I got home and could really spend time, it's complaint after complaint after complaint. Now I have not got one vacation because it's never available when I'm available. And you sit through 90 minutes of It's Not a Timeshare, and everything is so simple. You can buy their gray card, and they'll back to something Irene said. She from the Bible and the Pope, 7 years. Eve was deceived in the Garden of Eden, and man,
Let me let me inject some levity. The priest when we went to mass said that God created the world and rested 7 days. God created woman, and no one has rested since. So I remember you saying, "Happy life, happy wife."
Well, actually, my signer kind of used that. It's a strange situation. We kind of thought it might be a timeshare, even when we were approached on the helicopter ride. The guy was careful not to use the word star points. It was his company, so we couldn't look them up before we got to the presentation. And I keep telling my wife this. You see, I don't have 45 years left. I'm signed to a 45-year contract, and like I said, they convinced us it's so valuable. You'll want to pass it on to your loved ones.
And we had Jonathan Stoker on the phone with VOA. That's my personal consigliere. I really do have a personal consigliere with them. And we've had a very sinister person for soliciting people to consider a 3-year contract that I signed up with 48,000 RCI points. When Jonathan was on the show, all 4 Sapphire people bought triennial points, and none of them, they were all said they were told it meant they could use those. If you see in your contact triennial, you would assume that you could use your 24,000 points or 22,000 points over 3 years. But you can only use them in the 3rd year, which one family couldn't take that much vacation in 1 year. And Jonathan said, and I don't know if you remember these, Jake, but Jonathan said they were popular about 15 years. Well, they attempted to sell them 15 years ago, and they were not popular. And it's almost like they're deliberately selling you an inferior product so that you're going to complain about it, and no problem, we can fix it. So did they try to like upsell you to something else?
I'm one of those persons. When I started digging, I'm like a dog with a bone. And when I started digging, it was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And I did get one phone call, and I forget the guy's name, but he's pretty popular on the other side. Sonny D is who he said he was.
Mhm.
And okay, I'm going to be your personal concierge from this day forward, and I'm here to serve whatever you need. And I brought up all the complaints, and we wound up with him threatening a judgment and me hanging up on him. To me, bring it. And I sent Irene. There's a complaint from I think it's called Piss Consumer on YouTube.
Yeah.
Guy talking, hey, I broke a leg. I can't use this. I won out of the contract. And the guy on the other end basically said, if you don't pay, we can arrange to have your other leg broke.
Yeah.
And,
oh my gosh.
Sonny has been referred to on other sites as the enforcer. He gets belligerent and tries to scare people.
You told me he said he was the boss of the
Boss of the
bosses.
bosses. You can't get any higher than me. Well, I know one person that's way higher than him, but
Well, and there's a lot of different names associated, and I still haven't exactly put them all together. I've tried organizational charts, but there was StarPoint. I believe that they're owned by StarPoint.
PowerPoint,
10 years ago, I'd say about whenever that mass shooting was at the concert in Las Vegas, one person went to the Star Point and she signed a contract and she got back to her room and she saw that it wasn't what she had thought she bought and she was going to cancel it. She went to the concert that night and witnessed the carnage. And she basically could not get out of bed for 6 months and they denied her a release. So what a relief that now we know that they're going to join Arta's responsible exit. I can't wait to see their box up there with a deed back program. So let's go back to Sheila for a
No,
minute. Oh, go ahead, Jimmy. You want to say
I'm
something
not
else?
sure there's a deed there.
No, I don't think there's.
No, there's no deed that I'm aware of.
Right.
It's a points-based system, which
Yeah.
I didn't thoroughly understand. And back to Irene on the triennial, I call it fable table, where you come out of the presentation and then you're sat at a round table in Sedona. It was in the lobby, and all kinds of promises are made to you, and they get your head up in the clouds. And but at that table, we were told, yeah, you're buying triennial. They can be used anytime you want to use them. It's every 3 years you get 24,000 more points. But if you use them all up, you can buy more points. And I'm finding out more points is like somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 from Sapphire. And when people call and complain and say, hey, I've tried for 2 years now to use this and I haven't been able to get to go anywhere. Well, okay, that's because the salesman that signed you up sold you the wrong program. You need to go to biennial or annual. So, okay, so we're going to sell you more at a higher price. I'm not seeing anybody singing praises to Sapphire Resorts other than Sapphire employees, which I just wrote this down because I wanted to tell a cute story. 2 complaint sites that I've been on. The man that signed my wife and I'm going to use the word a narcissist because he's got a little cameo picture of himself. Mm-hmm. And he used it on both complaint sites, didn't put down his first name, but used his middle name and his last name, singing all the praises to Sapphire. I love it. I've been all over the world. And on one of those complaint sites, a lady thanked him. Thank you for letting me know because I was so worried that I made a mistake. And I don't know, maybe that lady was in her recession period and saw that and decided, okay, it's all right. And if so, she's screwed. So.
Well, and this is very common to say it's not a timeshare because it's points. Okay, we had a recent complaint that came through TAR to contact us, and they were told this isn't a timeshare because it's a week and it has a deed. So it used to be if you had a deed and you went to a diamond presentation, oh, you don't want that deed anymore. You need to, it's more flexible. You need points. Okay. So then if you had now with Hilton buying diamond and if you have diamond points, they're going, you need to buy a Hilton deed. Because whatever. So one sale for someone that had a lot of diamond points was $296,000. 6 deeds told that they would be able to sell their diamond points. But anyway, I don't want to go down to a rabbit hole of other ones. But Sheila, you've been trying to do some efforts with reaching out to lawmakers. And I do want to mention that on the news yesterday, former Florida Senator Jose Javier Ramirez, I might have the last name wrong. He's running for Florida AG on a platform of corporate corruption. And he mentioned $10 million in Medicaid money that had gone to campaign funding. So I don't think he would have a chance of winning, but God bless him for running. But you've been reaching out. You're in New York. Joan, that we had on the phone, is in New York. You've been trying to reach out to some lawmakers. Have you, what has been the reaction, not only with that, but with anyone, Florida AG, or your interactions with Exploria?
It just comes back and tells me that, just give it away, give it to your children, give it to a friend or whatever. And I tell them, I would never give it to a friend, and I wouldn't give it
like
to my
all my
worst
children.
enemy. Yeah, I wouldn't give it to my worst enemy. And, so they're kind of useless, but I am going to go back and I'm going to bring up some of the points. I'm going to write something and say, what's going on with this special assessment? Why are we all, it is in the contract that if Exploria has a special assessment or something, that all Exploria owners get something, but it's not as much as what some of the others do. And as far as the Attorney General in New York, right now, New York is in kind of a bind with the president, and he's making demands on him. He just told them to indict Letitia James, which I don't think he's going to win it. They're going to probably let her go. And he already did one other person too. So all of reaching out to anybody in New York right now, you can still reach out to them, but don't expect them to answer you right away, because right now they're focused on the idiot that's in office. So
It's chaotic.
it
Okay.
is. And,
Sheila,
yes.
Sheila, can you clarify your ownership at Exploria, just in general? If you wanted to stay in a high season for 1 week in a 1-bedroom place, how many
Mhm.
points would that be in Club Exploria?
It depends on what place it is. I owned at the one in the Grand Seas in Daytona Beach, and I do own a deed, and I own the first week, and it's a 1-bedroom, but I get 102 expos a year.
102.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
What will that get you? What will that book?
Well, I would probably, because I did book the 1 year in New Smyrna Beach. Remember, Irene? I think you came. And
I did.
yeah, and it didn't take my 102. You can usually get them pretty reasonable. I've stayed at Summer Bay. And the first time I stayed there, I was in a dungeon
Aw.
in the older parts. Yeah.
So the special assessment then would be about 100 and somewhere between $100 and $200
Yes, somewhere for us.
on a standard ownership of 1-bedroom unit for 1 week.
Yeah,
in
depending
Club
on how many,
in high
unless they bought
season.
it. Yeah, unless they bought other expos,
Right. Right.
But yeah, I have 102 expos a year
Right.
if I don't want to use my week. I don't have to call them, like Vacation Village. Yeah, I own time there. I own a week. I have a deeded week, and I have to call them and let them know if I'm not going. And you usually put your points up in, then they give you so many points if you pay your maintenance fee ahead of time, and it goes into their RCI.
Right.
Like,
Their exchange, their in-house exchange. Yeah.
in-house exchange, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's just
has had 2 special assessments on theirs. The last hurricane they had, it wiped out all of the outside, the pool, everything, and got inside again. And they had just refurbished a lot of stuff.
I was
So-
shocked
How big-
when I visited you up there, and
Yeah.
and we stayed at a Marriott, and the entire swimming pool had been swept
yeah.
out. Now that's understandable, like Jake
Oh, yeah.
said,
but do you
Yeah.
remember? Do you remember how much that special assessment was?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
Don't they have insurance that covers that?
Yes, they do.
It may not cover all of it. It may not cover
There's a
all of it.
deductible.
Yeah,
There's a deductible on the
Yeah.
insurance.
yeah.
But Jake, isn't it true that, just like Florida, people in Florida are just really complaining that the insurance companies are not paying for much or blaming it on something
Right.
else?
If there's a huge loss, they're just not going to pay. They're just, basically not declare bankruptcy, but they're just going to put all kinds of stipulations
Yeah,
and take their time. I went through the same thing in New Orleans.
yeah.
And eventually the resort decided to in New Orleans decided to self-insure because it didn't really matter. They had very good insurance, and the insurer just didn't pay. It was
No.
just
Yeah,
And before we run out of time, I want to go through these 7 questions. We might have answered them already. Number 1, we answered, is there a budget for the renovations of the Summer Bay homes? That's what Teresa's being a detective, trying to see if we can get that budget, which should be I don't know if we mentioned that you said the last time they provided HOA minutes was 2021.
That's what's on the members portal. Yes. The lady,
Doesn't that
they
pierce
posted
the
look for
corporate
them
veil?
there. And when I looked there, it was from the last one was 2021.
Jake, doesn't that pierce the corporate veil by not providing the minutes to the owners?
no.
No?
It's just a request, and sorry we forgot, or sorry the website is not working, or whatever. No,
Boy,
that's
Sheila and
that's
I got
minor.
all kind of lectures about that, we have to be really on top of that or we
It's
can get in trouble.
you
Yeah.
can't really get a lawyer to litigate that because it's not provided. You have to give them an opportunity to correct the error. And
But
so
on top of does it add on top of the lack of transparency and accountability with not providing the budget? Would it also add to the support that there's no minutes? I mean, I don't
yes,
know if I've been getting, I don't know if I necessarily got minutes. But if you look for them, they should be there. Okay, question 2, how long will the renovations take? Teresa sent these to them. I don't think we have the answer to that.
No response yet.
Yeah, will the homes be closed for the duration? I mean, if they're replacing granite countertops with quartz, would be kind of hard to stay there. And the other things on there as well, I think it sounded like it would be closed for quite some time. And how long will the renovations take? We don't know. Will the homes be closed for the duration? I just asked that. Number 4, what is the current delinquency rate for Summer Bay? You don't know that, do you?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. And they call them, the buzzword is repurpose, as they get to be sinking ships like Silverleaf. They blamed it on low demand. But as in the case of Carriage Hills and Carriage Ridge, as delinquency rises, then investors come in and convert part or all of the weeks to whole use condos. They're no longer timeshares. So we don't know the correspondence is that they're going to make these much more beautiful for owners and continue on. So I doubt if there's any repurposing going on unless they have, I don't know, I'm just speculating here. We didn't answer this. Maybe we did and I didn't hear it. Is Summer Bay a separate HOA?
I
they
have
have
no idea. Like Jake said earlier, it seems if there is the lakeside condominiums, and then
That would be one
yeah.
HOA. So each house would have their own HOA?
Well, I would
No.
assume all 22 would be
Right.
the lakeside.
Oh, they're all, okay. Okay, yeah, I see that. And Sheila, have you ever looked into, as a non-Summer Bay owner, have you ever looked into the minutes or the delinquency rates for what you have?
No, I have not.
Maybe that would be a good thing for you to do to see
Yeah.
if you could get that information.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm
All
going
right.
to use Summer Bay as an example and say, now with all this problems going on with Summer Bay, I want my minutes.
Yeah, okay.
You know, but there is one house that should be done now. It said by the end of September that is
Yeah,
complete.
they have some
314.
AI generated mock-ups on the website.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, it's unit house number 314.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't understand that. Are you talking about
It's a
Summer
model.
Bay?
Yeah,
Okay, so one of those houses are supposed to be, they were
is the model.
finished?
One of them is finished for the model.
Oh,
They chose house number 314, and it should be finished by the end of September. It says.
so Jake, would that mean they had reserves to cover that expense?
Yes. And
Okay,
so that's what that means. And then that means that they do have a budget, that they know exactly how much they spent on this house, and they know how much the other ones would cost.
okay, and as far as the governing documents, if they just ignore Teresa or Sheila, is there anything they can do to get those governing documents?
It's yeah, Attorney General. It's they can't ignore that. The documents are there in different formats. It's just a question of getting it from them.
And
Yeah.
what would be a reasonable amount of time for Teresa to wait you requested the governing documents, right, Teresa?
I did.
Yeah, and Bridget has too. And so what's a reasonable time for her to wait for those documents before filing with the Florida Attorney General?
30 days.
30
Yeah.
days.
Now,
Yeah.
does Florida have? We have like a sunshine law or something that you can request stuff through the state, and then they go.
Oh,
And
like a
they tell
public
them
records request?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Jimmy, that's one thing that you ought to consider with the Sapphire people is a GoFundMe to, we asked for, we wanted to raise $500 for a Westgate Resorts GoFundMe to get a public records request because the AG was going to charge like 200. We ended up getting $1,000. And the results of that public records request, because everybody's like, they told me I could rent and it would pay for itself. One active duty Air Force National Guard member had to separate from service. It was a big factor. A young couple with a 6-year-old sold a 4-bedroom to rent. Of the 584 complaints that were provided, nearly half of them were complaining about renting. So if you do a public records request, I think that's a smaller company, might, it may be 200. It's sort of a publicity stunt to do a GoFundMe anyway, because you have all the, all the reasons for it and everything. And then you just keep posting it, please fund our GoFundMe. And then I would say, if you have an abundance of people complaining about triennial points, then that's good third-party support,
Which brings me to a question, and I see we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
My wife brought this in the mail. It's a letter from the Arizona Attorney General, basically telling me, that there's not much they can do. However, if they get enough complaints, they may go in and review it again. Somebody tell me what enough complaints.
I know.
How many complaints does an attorney general need before they, simple thing, send an undercover agent in and see if he or she gets convinced, and they know what they're walking into.
Diamond Resorts, the Arizona Attorney General in 2016 and 2017 received 400 complaints. They complained to me because one of them was mine. They didn't get enough publicity. So myself and a former Diamond sales agent did a press release in Arizona, and they got another 500. So they had over 1,000, but they had started the investigation with 400 complaints. And there's no magic number. My personal opinion is the Arizona
ownership was
Attorney.
much larger too. The
What?
ownership was much larger also.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
diamond ownership in Arizona was
Yeah.
much larger.
yeah. And as I
did
said,
you say the New York State Attorney General's office did send me something, a letter, and they will keep it. And some of the other Exploria owners had sent in to her, and they said, you know, they would keep these files, but we are New York State residents. We're not Florida. But I just asked, well, can't you send something to their Attorney General? You know.
well, and we're now out of time. This
Yes.
was, I'm going to have to listen to this show. Hopefully,
I know.
when we play it, it's going to sound as good as it did today. I'm going to have to listen to it about 10 times to digest
know.
everything everybody said, especially Jake. So
Yes,
thank you
yeah.
to all. And
Okay.
this is a fluid situation. I hope some of you can come back October 27.
Okay.
Very good.
All
Thank you
right.
very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Irene.
Bye.